And we're live. Hey, Lisa, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so glad to get this one-on-one time with you. Every time we meet, we're in a board meeting. So,
Yes, I am so glad as well. It's so nice to talk outside of that.
yes, and it's been a journey. I mean, you have worked so hard to make that Breakfast of Champions happen. And then, with the takeover, and I've been so honored to be part of your board and just getting to experience with these athletes.
Well, we've been so happy to have you and our other committee members, and we're certainly blessed. We have a great group here in Yuma.
You definitely do. You definitely do. So, as you know, this is the One Self podcast, and we we are where wellness and purpose meet. And we're here to inspire our audience to grow intentionally and elevate their brand, their business, and their life. So today you're here to inspire us. And I want to know a little bit about your professional background. What led you before you came into the Special Olympics?
So I have actually an extensive background with physical fitness. So I was an aerobics instructor and personal trainer for many, many years. Then I went to work for the Kachan Indian tribe. I ran their diabetes project. So I worked with the whole tribal nation and the children and everybody trying to keep them healthy and happy. And then I've been with Special Olympics Arizona now almost 14 years next May.
Wow.
So yeah, long
That's
time.
amazing. That's amazing. So wellness and physical fitness has always been part of who you are. So
It has been. And I think for me, it just translates even beyond the sports. It's just mentally such an amazing thing to have. And being able to share that with people, again, with or without intellectual disabilities, just how important it is to be healthy and happy.
I love that. I love that. And they're so special. Honestly, such nice people, such big hearts, and just even the group that you have assisting you with all the tournaments and different things. Like there's so much behind the scenes, guys. You have no idea. It takes an army, literally. Um,
It's
you're
a very selfless job. I mean, we get paid in a lot of hugs, which is
yeah.
amazing, and it is very selfless. You're correct.
And then even with the families, like how you touch their lives, just to have that support system for those children, it goes such a long way.
Oh yes. Yeah, and it's all ages, which is amazing. Again, they're just it's really they're their own support system too. So you're right, there's a lot of different areas and capacities to what we do.
Of course, of course. So my next question is what inspired you to get involved with Special Olympics and what keeps you passionate about their mission today?
I my job was a whim. I didn't know anything about Special Olympics Arizona, to be honest with you. I saw the job opportunity and I loved my previous job. It was
Mhm.
time. And so yeah, it was a lot of learning, and part of my initiation before hiring was going out to a competition and engaging with our athletes and being around them. And for somebody
Mhm.
who's not been around them, it is a very different opportunity. But um, obviously the first time you get around our athletes, you're sold and it's game over, and I'm fully in. And ever
Yeah,
since then, it's just been nonstop.
that's great. That's great. Plus you stand by their mission and you see yourself how much you've grown as a person while being with them because they can teach you so much. Just because they have, a mental or physical disability doesn't mean that they can't do anything. And it was like so inspiration. There was so much inspiration at that breakfast where you had that panel and they were asking each athlete about their experience and like the type of things that they said. Like I was like, wow, this is amazing to see how much joy just a simple thing of being with a group of people and being on a team makes for them.
Absolutely. And then the other end of it too are, some of them maybe don't have the best answers, but they're still up there trying,
Correct.
and there is no right answer. But you're right. It's really showcasing the different abilities that our athletes do have.
Yes, and they get better and better. Like one of the guys, he was so proud of his recent medal, and he was talking about like how he went out of town to, I think it was Tucson or something, and in so much joy in his face. I was just like, wow, like I've never powerlifted or done those sprints and all that, but this guy did, and he's so proud of it. And it's just to see that joy and and how he helped his co-athlete, like, hey, you know what, I'll help you, do this better, and we'll practice together. And just like seeing that whole like friendship like blossom from this is pretty cool.
Oh, I fully agree with you. I fully agree. And that's been the biggest thing as a son who is a baseball player, who's, a
Mhm.
senior now.
Mhm.
And seeing that competitive end of sports, our athletes are just as competitive. Special Olympics Arizona, I mean, it is just as competitive and they want to win. They don't want a ribbon. If you
True.
get fourth place, that's no good. That's a
Oh,
ribbon.
really?
So
Oh, man.
oh yeah, you don't want to be be near any of our athletes, but again, it's the same sense of training. It's the same. They do everything that any other athlete in any other sport would do.
Yep, they still have to fundraise, they still have to make the time, they still have to go do their schoolwork. It's the same thing as
Absolutely.
athletes
They
do.
have jobs. A lot of our older athletes have jobs. So yeah, it is. It is. And so getting them into that community and being a part of it's just amazing.
It is, it definitely is. So our next question is, for those who aren't familiar, how would you describe the unique impact Special Olympics has on athletes, families, and the broader community?
I would definitely say that we're just a sports organization because we're a catalyst for so much more.
Mhm,
Obviously, a lot of our parents need resources and they depend on each other for those resources. There's
mhm.
obviously the friendships that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a Special Olympics or somewhere to go practice. But I
Yes,
think that's the biggest thing is just showing the broader community that our athletes face barriers and challenges every day and things that we think is are so large are really so menial
mhm,
compared to not being able to speak or they're slower at speaking or they don't move like we do and so their barriers are just it makes us really appreciate who we are and the lives that we live and
of
it puts a
course.
lot of things in context.
Oh yeah, 100%. I completely agree. You don't realize what what a family goes through when they find out that they have a special needs kid. So any systems that they can reach out to, just like Special Olympics, is very very needed in the community.
Absolutely. And we did a training one day for the kids at Yuma Lutheran because they come out and volunteer. And we
Mhm.
took a bunch of marshmallows in there and had them all stuff their mouths with marshmallows. And we said, now start talking. And they
Mhm.
couldn't talk. Well, that's kind of a reference for our athletes that maybe don't have that thought process or can't speak. And it
Yeah.
was just really eye opening. It's things like that that really make the community see, wow,
Mhm.
the barriers that they have and they fight through every day, they're
Of
just phenomenal.
course. I remember recently when we had the takeover at Brewers, there was some athletes were actually going and serving people and asking what they need, taking orders. It was so special. It was so special because they were very attentive. They were very excited to just get involved and be interacting with the others that came to support the event. And it was awesome. It was so cool. I loved that. I
Yeah,
loved it.
and they just want to be invited to the table. We're all sitting at the table. They just want to be there with us. They live in our community, they work in our community. They should be able to do anything and everything that we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what do you think are the misconceptions of people about having, these intellectual or developmental disabilities? And how does Special Olympics help break through those barriers?
So I have a couple notes. So the biggest one I think is that people don't think our athletes have voices. For
Hmm.
instance, if they go to the doctor with their parent, the parent and doctor are communicating rather than the doctor directly talking to the athlete, who's
Exactly.
perfectly fine to answer and say what's bothering them.
Hmm.
Another thing is that I think the biggest misconceptions, because they do have intellectual disabilities, is
Hmm.
everybody says kids or children, these children. Well, a lot of our athletes are older and in their 30s, 40s, 50s. And
Hmm.
so that's a tough misconception just to and that so I always reference athletes.
Correct.
what our base is. That's who our people are. And so, and then the other thing is that they aren't able, that they can't do things.
Yes.
And clearly you saw at Brewers, they're just as able as you and I. It might take them a little bit longer and they may not be able to communicate the way we do,
Mhm.
but turn them loose, let them go. They're going to prove a lot to
Oh,
everybody.
100%. Like that's why, I love that you guys are breaking those barriers and you're showing the world that they can do anything we can do, just about giving them that hand and saying, "Hey, let me show you how." Or maybe it might take a little longer, but it's okay. They'll eventually get to that place that they feel better about themselves and have that positive impact now where others see them and they're like, "Man, like if they can do it, I can too." So I think you break a lot of barriers with what you're doing with Special Olympics.
Absolutely. And then also too, our unified sports, which we'll talk about in one of the other questions, that's
Mhm.
our huge push. And that starts at elementary all the way through high school. And all 6 of our high schools do unified sports. All of our elementary, middle schools, the majority do. And that's been life changing because kids now are invited to birthday parties where before our athletes weren't. They're
Mhm.
now invited to slumber parties of their peers. And so it's really been cool to watch.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm sorry, my dog keeps coming in here trying to get me to play with
That's
him. So if
we're
you see me pushing him away,
It's all good. It's all good. But we welcome our furry friends too.
well, he's here.
So, next question. Can you share a moment or an athlete story that deeply moved you or reminded you why this work matters?
Absolutely. So it goes back and it's probably been 10 years ago. It was very new to my career, but we had what was called a Young Athletes Day. And we invited a bunch of parents of 2 to 6 year olds to come out and be engaged playing with balls. Obviously, there's not much
Yeah,
structured play.
yeah.
And one of the little boys, who probably was about 4, just threw a fit. Threw a fit, was on the ground throwing stuff. Mom's just in this frenzy and she's just so embarrassed. And she came
Mhm.
to me and she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, why? Look around. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All of
Yes.
their kids throw fits. It
Mhm.
happens. And literally, nobody stopped to turn because
Yeah.
that's just what our community is.
Hmm.
That's just who we are. And you
Correct.
don't know who's going to have a meltdown or breakdown, and it's okay.
Mhm.
And so ever since then, I just like this sense of relief on her face was
Mhm.
just like, wow, how
Yeah.
accepting and how belonging is that? Nobody cares. And,
Mhm.
and that's just part of it. And that probably was one of the most special times because that mom has kept with us. Her son's now out of high school, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah. It's like you've built a community, like a family, where you've seen them.
Absolutely.
Some of these athletes have been involved for many, many years. It's not just a one-time thing. Like they look forward to competing, and even the moms. Like I just seen how nice they are to each other and how much like support they have with each other and with the kids. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It is. And I will say, my son has gone to so many different events with me, and through them all, I knew I could let him be because everybody watches everybody else's kids. So when he was 6 or 7 running around, I knew that he was well taken care of. Granted, of course, I always watch, but that's just the community that we have. Everybody's watching out for everybody else's kid.
I love that. I love that. That is so awesome. So,
Yes.
how does Special Olympics Arizona ensure inclusivity, and not just in sports, but in leadership, schools, community programs? How do you stay inclusive for everyone?
So again, we start at age 2. So
Mhm.
from 2 to 6 is our young athletes program, and then we get to our school age programs. And Yuma County, we've got probably over 35 schools who participate in unified sports, and
Mhm.
that's what we partner up students with and without intellectual disabilities.
Okay.
And that's really been the coolest thing to see because now again, I talk about our athletes and what they get out of it and how they enjoy it being part of something, but our general ed students take far more away. We're seeing our high school kids graduate and go into speech therapy, physical therapy, special education all
That's
from being a part of unified sports. So it's
mhm.
really, it goes both ways, and those friendships are forever.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I wanted to mention is that we as an organization always have an athlete who serves on our board of directors. That
Oh,
is vital to us to make
that's
sure that we have an athlete and their voice on there. And
mhm,
then as well, we have an athlete leadership program, which we have several Yuma athletes who are part of,
mhm.
and they get training on public speaking. They, help make a lot of decisions on things that we do. So our athletes are very involved in our organization, in our day to day, anything that we do with our mission, everything.
That's great. I love that. That's awesome. That's
Yes.
that is great. So, what would you say are some programs or initiatives that are but that you're most excited about right now, especially heading into the next season of competitions into the next year?
I think the biggest thing again is our unified sports. So when I started about 14 years ago, we had about 75 participants in
Mhm.
Yuma County. Now in Yuma County, we've got about 2,500 or more who
Oh, wow.
participate, which
Mhm.
has been amazing. And so with that, we've been very lucky to have some amazing partnerships, which again, we'll talk about in one of the other questions. But then, too, we also have our Healthy Athletes program that I don't think a lot of people know about.
Yes.
And what that is our athletes, whenever they go to any of our Phoenix based events, they get screened for hearing, vision, dental. And if they need any follow up work, that is all done free of charge. And
Wow.
so, yes, our healthy athlete screenings are major, but in Yuma, so right now the follow up care is all done in Phoenix. One thing
Mhm.
I'd really like to see us do as an organization is get some localized follow up care here in Yuma County. So
Mhm.
when those athletes do return, they can stay locally and get that follow up care done. So
Nice.
that's a huge plus for our athletes.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that because you don't realize how much, because they put impact on their body. There's injuries can happen to them too. So obviously keeping them in, good health and making sure they're eating the right things to be able to compete at that level. It's everything that a person does revolves around that too.
Absolutely. And we have a program called Fit Feet, and we've had them come out and get shoes donated, New Balance or whatever, Foot Locker, whoever donates shoes. And we'll
Hmm.
have athletes who will have the same pair of tennis shoes for 8 years and don't understand that you should change them out every 6 months. And
Correct.
so right there on the spot, they get a new pair of shoes. And again, it's just an educational piece that I think is vital for performance. And I think that, our athletes, again, vision, hearing, it's all important, dental. And a lot
Yeah.
of them don't have great health care and
Mhm.
can't afford to do follow-up work. So it's an amazing program.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So, given that, what challenges does the organization face when it comes to funding awareness or community involvement? And, how can people support your mission?
And this, I will say, this isn't a Yuma specific question. I think it's a statewide thing that there
Mhm.
are other nonprofits that
Mhm.
again do phenomenal work. We've got our Amberley's place. We've got a
Yeah,
food bank, and they have life or death organizations.
of course.
It's very difficult to compete. Of course, people need to eat. Our
Yes.
athletes playing sport, we know it's vital for their mental health, but there is a big difference. And so, it is difficult. There are so many good, worthy nonprofit organizations. And again, it just comes down to choice.
Mhm.
And most times people have either a child who's involved in the Special Olympics or a family member, and it's just kind of their tie. And to be honest, as long as they're giving somewhere, whether it's their time, talent, or treasure,
Mhm.
that's amazing. But I will say, with the growth of our local programs, it's been very difficult for us to try to sustain the
Mhm.
income.
Mhm.
It costs us $4,500 to charter one bus to go to Phoenix, and we often need two.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's not been easy. So we definitely need a lot more community sports and support monetarily. Um,
Mhm.
and we're always looking for partnerships.
Okay, great. Well, so if anyone here is watching and wants to do something with the Olympics, definitely reach out to Lisa so you guys can
Yes,
plan something to bring. If it's a takeover, if it's any activity, just run it by her, and hopefully we can get something going in your city too. Um,
absolutely.
And so, how can people support your mission? Do you what are some ways that they can do so?
Our biggest catalyst is that we are a volunteer based organization. So 90% of what we do comes through our volunteers. So we
Hmm.
are always begging for volunteers. And as I mentioned earlier, once you come out one time and volunteer, you're addicted. Being
Hmm.
around our athletes is such a blessing. And, it just is life changing. And so looking for volunteers, looking for monetary support, again, people to sponsor,
Hmm.
help support our growth here in Yuma County. And then also, we've been really blessed with some amazing partnerships like the City of Yuma, Yuma District 1, Yuma High School District, who allow us to use their facilities for free of charge.
Hmm.
That's huge, and that saves us a lot of money too. Then that we're not having to pay for facilities that we can use for equipment and uniforms. So
Because
big and
just in the
volunteering,
exactly,
right?
exactly, and also just in the event that you just had, how I mean, look how many people you had to reach out to. You had Marissa Zaremba from our news, from our local news. You had Aldo doing the photo booth. You had, the venue for the food. I mean, it was you had to have different people in place to make that happen.
It
Um,
takes a village to support what we do. It really does. It's not just one person or one individual or one committee. It's really a lot of people who a lot of what is it? A lot of hands make light work. And
yeah,
that's very true.
yes, yes. And how have you seen the participation um, in Special Olympics help athletes grow in like their confidence, their communication, or their life skills outside of sports?
So I know that you probably saw our Yuma Thunder Media. We have a media team now that goes to all of our events, and they've got the equipment and cameras and all that, and do interviews. And so that's been one of the ways. But I did mention our athlete leadership program, which
Mhm.
is huge. They meet monthly, and that program allows the athletes again to make essential decisions on things that they would like to see done at competitions or themes, or and so it's really been nice to see the athletes come to the forefront, because that is who we are. That is what we are. We are about our athletes. And so allowing them the power to make some decisions has really been amazing for us as an organization.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, as a leader, we're getting to our last two questions, but as a leader, what legacy do you hope to leave with Special Olympics Arizona? And what future do you envision for the athletes or serve that serve?
And I would say, I think that the future that I would like to see is having as many athletes employed by our organization as possible, and allowing them a lot of the roles that we do,
Mhm.
and working really aside us in, what we do in our daily questions and lives, and our, people that we communicate with. So having the athletes more involved. And as far as me, it's really been just very humbling,
Mhm.
and having my son raised with our athletes has been very humbling to both of us.
Correct.
Uh, it's really changed our view on life and our outlooks. And there'll be, there we could be somewhere. My son would have been 8 or 9, and some kids throwing a fit, and my son right away would say, you don't know what he has or what he's going through. And it's really been a blessing for the both of us, and it's been amazing to watch him grow into the young man he is because of what I do for a profession. And again, it is very selfless, but I'll take the hugs any day of the week, and it'll make me cry, but it's I've been very blessed to be with such an amazing organization and leadership.
I think so too. So this is the bonus question. You didn't get this one, but the bonus question is: what inspires you daily?
It is definitely, as I mentioned, my now 18-year-old son who just turned 18. He's just like my life, my drive, and I have to be that example for him. And I'm very blessed that God gave me a good one. So,
Oh yeah.
um, but that he inspires me, as well as I love what I do. I love my job, and when you spend so much of your life working, you have to love what you do and be passionate about it. And I'm very blessed we're a great organization. I have great leadership, and God's been good to me. So,
Yes, amen to that. Amen to that.
amen.
Well, guys, if you want to get to know Special Olympics, you can follow Special Olympics Arizona. And Lisa is available to answer questions through her email, lisa@specialolympics.org. You can also visit the website. And if you want to see a replay, go to follow oneself consulting. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
You.
It was a pleasure. And just educating our community about what it is that Special Olympics does, and so much leadership that is available to people if they want to volunteer. There's a place. Come to Special Olympics. We'll gladly take you. Um,
Absolutely.
and to everyone watching, take one step today that your future self will thank you for. Signing off, Natasha and Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much. See you
Thank
soon.
you.